That's Tiaz.
And that's Sasha.
We are the Cool Nerd Weed Show on Adobe Radio. Man, Mondays are the best days ever.
Monday Fun Day.
Yes.
What?
Yeah. Did you just pick that up?
I did.
That was so
I
good.
We're trying to get that hashtag going.
Wow. Good stuff. Yeah, it's Cool Nerd Weed Show. Thank you, Adobe Radio. Shout out to Adobe Radios. Listen all the times. Thank you for having us live. We're live. Per the usual. Follow us on Twitter, Cool Nerd Weed, and all the other places. Cool Nerd Weed Show, like everywhere. Just like Google Cool Nerd Weed Show. Just Google Cool Nerd Weed Show. Cool Nerd Weed Show. I don't know why I shorted
I
that.
guarantee we're the only thing that comes up when you Google Cool Nerd Weed Show. I promise you.
It's true. We take pride in that. It's one of the things that we talk about. That we're like, because the word weed in our name does hinder us, I would say, from some social media exposure.
A little bit, yeah.
It's just the way it is. And that's okay though, we think. We could always abbreviate, do a little abbrev, do a hashtag CNWS. We got to get the merch out there. We're probably going to ask you to pay for some stuff soon.
Yeah, coming soon to
That'd be cool.
Patreon near you.
Yeah, to a Patreon near you. We'll see, how that goes. But we definitely do have to get new merch. And I think having cool NWS would be a good idea. Because, the world's not ready for weed.
Not yet?
Clearly. No, it's actually the world's very ready for weed. That's why we haven't taken the name out. Because we have faith.
The world just doesn't know how ready it is for cannabis just yet. Most people are susceptible. Susceptible? That's probably not the right word.
Susceptible to what?
To
weed?
To weed.
No, I don't think that word means what you think it means. Okay, so we have to talk about show stuff because we're on the radio. What were we gonna do? I don't remember. Okay, so I just as a side note, I took a little bit of RSO before the show.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh, you sneaky.
You sneaky bitch. Yeah, no, that's what you wanted to say. No, yeah, I did because traditional. I actually ran out of traditional edibles, so we're just moving on. I say it is for heavy people, for people who use heavy doses. So don't use it if you don't take weed on the regs. There's that.
Or just use a little tiny bit.
That's what I did.
RSO.
Even I did. You were like a half a syringe. I was like, no. But it wouldn't put it past me. But yeah, I'm trying to just get a little bit of. I'm trying to stimulate my appetite.
I bought one. I got one too. The Proof.
It's good. It's good. I actually was. Yeah. It tastes like old school CBD. Old school RSO.
Totally. I don't know 100% what their process is, but they seem to have nailed the full spectrum extraction.
Yeah, man. That's great.
Even my CBD one has a good amount of THC in it, which I enjoy.
As do I.
It's doing a world of good for my health.
It was not available right away after Prop 64 went into effect for one reason or another. It was hard to test it. It was hard for it to come up, and people were missing it. It was a crisis in the weed world out here in the California. But another thing that is in a shortage. As RSO figured it out, they came out with the FSO, and then this is I think it's similar, if not the same, to traditional RSO. But I suppose pre-rolls are in danger now, but not because of Prop 64 or anything. But pre-rolls, and I did notice this because I don't love pre-rolls, but I know a lot of people who do. So to be a good host with the mostest, I like to have an on-hand package of pre-rolls in my house of where it dwells.
True. This is going to affect us on many levels, though.
Yes.
Because we like to roll our own pre-rolls.
We do. See, yes, that's the thing. We get pre-rolls, in a pinch, but pre-rolls are pre-rolls. We've said it before, and we'll say it again. But we like to have our cones.
I love the cone. Love the raw cones, actually.
We love a cone.
A cone.
Can you light that cone, actually?
Oh, yeah. Where is it? Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Oh, this one.
No, I turned you on to those in New York City. So the Zigzag started making cones.
The Zigzag cone. I'd never seen those before.
How
until
exciting.
we got to the until I
when I saw
went to
cones,
NYC.
Listen, I am not the best joint roller you will meet. I've gotten way better since I've lived in LA, but in New York, in New Jersey, I wasn't rolling joints. Somebody else was, or I was packing a stupid one hitter or a bowl or a bong or something else. That was not a joint. Joints weren't the popping for me because they smelled a lot. But people smoked them. People smoke mostly blunts, but that's a story for another day. But cones, when I saw cones were a thing, I was like, this is genius. Like
Totally.
Like everybody was very relieved because now I can smoke a joint because I love a joint.
So much easier. It's already rolled into a cone shape. There's a tip.
Yes.
All you have to do
is
pack it full of your favorite cannabis flavor.
And so supply chain, it's the thing. Whenever there's a shortage for anything now, it's for the same reason, I guess.
Yeah, there's apparently there's many ships backed up at the ports all around the world. Port of LA. They're saying it's a 2 to 3 week turnaround before you even get into the port to unload your goods. So there's a lot of not only that, but most of the cones are manufactured in, what does it say, like Indonesia?
Yeah.
So there's everyone, the whole world has been hit by a labor shortage and COVID and things like that. So yeah, I don't know. You might want to go and
stock up on your
favorite pre-roll, or get
or
some
at least
cones.
your favorite cone.
Get your favorite cone.
Damn.
Because there's definitely no shortage of cannabis, but there may be a shortage of cones and papers.
Oh, that's a bummer, man. That stresses me out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we've already.
Let me be honest with you, I guess.
For real.
Like, I don't love that.
What did I say? I was like, I'm going to order us a pack of 100.
Yeah, you're like, I'm going to order a 50 pack.
50 pack immediately.
Yeah, I am on that. I mean, I don't want to be a coronavirus hoarder. If that's from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Is it?
A COVID hoarder. I don't want to be a COVID hoarder. And I'm not a COVID hoarder, but
instead of having like your full cart of toilet paper and steaks, it's all raw cones. A full shopping cart full of raw cones.
I suffered when the alcohol shortage happened after COVID because everybody bought the alcohol, and I was like, listen, alcohol's great for cleaning shit for show, but like I needed to clean my Puffco and my bongs and my pieces. So this is not good for me.
This is a bummer on many levels.
You still have trouble finding alcohol in a lot of places. So yeah, I don't want to be a COVID hoarder, but and you know, man, that was such a bummer. Just saying that, I'm like,
for sure. Yeah.
So supply chain, I don't know. Don't buy too many. Don't hoard. Just adapt. I don't know what the solution is here. I don't know what the solution is here. I hope that stops, because it's like everybody's like, order your Christmas presents like a year ago. I'm like, I'll just go to the stores.
Everything's probably going to be fine. I don't know. Is this there's going to be a little hiccup, but we'll be okay. There's probably enough cones already in the States and pre-rolls in existence till we can weather this storm.
Although I haven't seen my favorite pre-rolls out there, and I've been like, where are they?
This is true.
But it's left room to try new ones. I'm sure your favorite pre-roll, your small town pre-roll, needs a chance, and now's their chance.
It's happening in the vape world too.
Yes, that's been. You know what I saw? Speaking of that, Puffco.
Oh yeah.
Because of you can't ship vapes anymore.
They can't ship their Puffcos?
I don't know. I gotta look, because I wanted to get the little travel one, because I feel as if, why the fuck don't I have that? And I got an email that was like certain products can't be shipped. So I haven't checked, and I'm a little stressed about it.
Yeah, that's doesn't make sense to me. I've been in the post office lately. I'm on an eBay kick, and they are constantly asking me. I can't. They haven't asked like, there's like liquids, batteries, blah blah blah. Are you shipping? Yes or no? And well, I'm not. So I say no. But I want to ask her. I should just ask them at the post office if I could send vapes.
Don't ask that.
Don't ask that question. I'll record the whole thing. We'll do it live.
Tune in to next week's Cool Nerd Weed show,
where I am arrested at the post office for asking questions.
And I'm like, oh god. For legal purposes, this is a joke. So that's that. So yeah, so get your pre-rolls while you can, and hope for the best during this crazy holiday season, just in time for national fucking crisis. So speaking of which, DC. Okay, so this is like something I want to spend a few minutes on. So okay. We always talk about this in the states that do this, because New Jersey was kind of doing it, New York was kind of doing it. The gifting program with weed in DC.
In DC, the recreational cannabis market is unregulated, so you have to. Delivery services are offering you buy a gift, whatever it may be, a candy bar, and for like $60 you get a Mars bar, and it happens to come with a gift of an eighth of cannabis. So that's how they've been able to sort of skirt the law, the gray area, because
they've been doing this for a while.
They have, and they, other states have done this as well.
Yes.
It's sort of, it goes
New
around.
Jersey was like starting to do it. They were like, hey, you stop that. So they're on it a little bit more, because they're trying to balance out what the fuck they're doing. And also in New York, that was like the farmers market situation, but they're also like, oh, none of that over here. So they're gonna figure that out. But DC, they seem to be chilling. They seem to be peaceful.
They do. I think because they fall under they're like the district, and they're sort of under federal regulation. A few other things need to fall into place before DC can actually regulate or put into play legal recreational use of cannabis.
Right.
So they're doing the gifting system right now, and lawmakers are trying to remove a part of the cannabis bill provision that would actually crack down on an unregulated market, because I think it'd be a step backwards, because we're trying to end prohibition, and people need access to cannabis. So really, these people that are gifting the delivery services, one, you've got huge fucking balls to act to be operating this way in the district. Two, you're providing a fucking service to people that people obviously love.
Indeed.
But third of all is that the lawmakers and the powers that be actually recognize that there is a market there, and that if you actually crack down on this gray area market, that you would be it would just be like prohibition all over again.
So they're saying let's do a sweep and basically like fuck everybody over who has been operating this way, get it shut it down, then remove the language to make sure that they can't show up again, in hopes that they go recreational. That's what this is. That's what they're doing.
I believe that's the intent, but
that's very ridiculous.
Well, no. They don't want to shut these people down.
They don't want to shut them down.
They don't want to shut them down.
Okay.
No. We got the intent is to not shut down the people who are doing the gifting right now.
Okay.
Until they kind of figure out where they're going to do with it, like what they're going to do.
Okay.
Put recreational cannabis into play in DC. So until they actually figure it out, the new proposed provision will will remove the threat to the unregulated market.
Right.
So the unregulated market can exist until they figure out how to legalize everybody and make everybody. And then that's what I'm getting from this anyway, because, the market exists. The cannabis market is going to exist and has existed for, 1,000 years.
Yes.
Legal or illegal. So basically, they know that this illegal market right now is in existence through gifting, which is a loophole to a gray area, as they say.
And it's been able to
exist, and people need access to their cannabis. So let's not face these people with threats, because we're going backwards.
Yeah. Especially before you go forwards. You know what I mean? It's not like you're there with your recreational and your access in DC at all. So it's like, why would we reinstate a prohibition type situation? It is working backwards. I don't understand. Like why
the gifting businesses would have been fined up to $30,000 a day.
Oh my God.
For operating.
Wow.
So they wanted to remove that whole thing because the market's going to exist one way or another. So it's kind of finding a way to coexist.
Well, yeah. I mean, until
DC can figure it out.
It's kind of like, I don't know, every state that has like decriminalized in some way and in a big way has had something kind of like this. You know what I mean? Like whatever. In California, like I'm not saying that Prop D was like this at all, but if you can see where I'm going with this, like to get medical weed in California, like you didn't even have to in the beginning have a permanent address here. You know what I mean? So like
Prop 215.
Yeah. So all you needed was a piece of paper, and that, they changed that over the years and eventually got to like a very heavily regulated market. But before it was just so you had an excuse for access. And that's what gifting is. It's an excuse for access in a way that's safe, right? Or am I saying things that are
No. That's
the parallel that I'm drawing.
It seems that people are operating in I kind of see this as the early days of medical cannabis in California.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So they're like sort of, I don't know, we sort of self-regulated.
Yeah, exactly. Because you don't want to get shut down and you don't want to not have access. The whole point is to have to provide access and to make a living off of providing that access. So this situation in DC seemed to have been like working for them until they figure out what they want to do. And to be honest, that was a big reason why we were bummed out here when Prop 64 was being formulated, because it wasn't great, like it wasn't like, it didn't give more access, it was kind of prohibition-y, and the government controls my weedy, and like it could be worse for sure, but like, I think this kind of gray area of do we want recreational or adult use cannabis to be a thing everywhere? Yes. But do we want it to be do we want these other things to be sacrificed? Like access and, no. like I don't know what the solution is here. I guess, yes, keep them going, keep the gifting program or whatever it is existing like they are, and just leave it alone until it's regulated.
Well, yeah, it's complicated. It's a little bit more. It is complicated in DC because they're under the federal rule of law. So until things really change federally, which we always say, then DC is even more fucked than the rest of the country.
Well, that's why this seemed to be the way to go.
I right now it is. It's like grassroots, very homespun, the gifting system.
Yeah, and and definitely criminalizing those people is wrong. It's the wrong thing to do. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know why.
Because we're trying to decriminalize the whole in the whole
Like, why
country.
would you do?
So
Why would you do?
you're
Yeah,
not gonna,
I know.
like,
Yeah.
You don't want to criminalize the people that are actually anybody at all that are in it.
This is
as
what
well.
I don't understand. Like,
It's
I just don't understand. Like,
we go round and round and round.
it's
and
just
round.
like social equity. Like, it's like people who can't open up their own businesses because they have stupid cannabis related marks on their records, and for some reason they haven't been expunged. It's all that stuff. Like, this is the same sort of stupid shit. Like, it's all dumb, and it all goes back to like some stupid made up fucking war on drugs. It makes no sense, and the more we say it, the more that you see it. Hopefully, we'll always have a show to talk about weed, I think, because weed is like so developing and advancing and stuff like that. But hopefully there will be a day where we don't have to fucking talk about this. I hope, because it's getting annoying to be like on the side of things where you're like so spoiled about it. But I'm going home for the holidays and I'm going to spend a month in New York and New Jersey. And where's my weed going to come from? You know what I mean? I don't know. And I don't know, and that concerns me. Well, so I don't love it.
Will that farmer's market still be open in the dead of winter in Washington Square Park?
They were saying by Christmas they'd have some shit ready, and we will talk about it, but they're not even fucking close to ready over on the East Coasticles. So, and clearly, I don't know. It's a bummer. It's a bummer that this was even a conversation, that they were talking about doing this to people. So I'm glad that they're not going to. But it was clear during... during COVID, that cannabis is essential. So I don't know how anybody could, I guess just to make like a quick buck off people and, arrest them or fine them for shit,
The usual.
Just to make money.
The usual.
It's so dumb.
Terrible. Horrible.
Well, for right now, it's okay. They can operate.
They can operate.
Well, be careful out there, DC.
Yeah, stay safe, DC.
We don't love this behavior. It's a bummer, but I know that, like, I always hear sweet Uncle Tommy Chong in our ear. If you would like to hear that interview, you can find it on our everywhere, because it was a great interview. It's an interview with Tommy Chong. And like, we're cranky, but like when we asked him how he feels about the state of things, he's just like, as somebody who's been arrested, you know what I mean?
Actually did hard time
for weed related things. And like, he still was like, no, like, it's great. We're in a great era. And I'm like, okay. Like, whenever I get angry at like stuff, we have the huff and puff and all those things. Like, I have to take a minute and just be like, okay, this is stupid, but hopefully they don't go any further with it and they figure it out in a way that is beneficial for the world.
What would Tommy Chong do?
He would be chilling. He would be annoyed that this was a thing, but since it's not a thing, he would be probably pretty grateful about it. That's what I think. So I don't want to be too cranky, but I do have to say, get it together, DC. Don't do any more stupid shit.
You're better than this, DC.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about all that. All right, we're going to take a break, play some musics, and then come back. And then we're going to talk about, mental health, but kind of in a good way. In a good way. So, look forward to that.
The Nerds will be right back. It's never too late to join the sesh.
Pass that here. One of those long outros. Hey, it's a Cool Night Read Show. That's Tess.
And that's Sasha.
And we're back.
Yeah, we're back.
Playing musics, talking about weed, living the dreams. On Adobe Radio. Thank you, Adobe, for allowing us to be live for over 160 60 shows ish. I don't know. I made that up. I think about
maybe more. Maybe more. We're very diligent.
Well, we love being live. When they were like, does anybody want to be live? We were like, yeah. Can we please?
We were probably the only ones who volunteered.
Like, I was like, my hand shot up, both hands shot up. I was floating in the air. I was like, I would love it. I would love it. It makes me happy to be live on a radio, and we like to talk about weed as it happens. But we before that we were doing new shows at the very least for consistently because we love it, we love it. We love it.
And we love you.
And we love you. We really do. It's true. It's not a lie. We do. We're very grateful for you. So you mean a lot to us. Yeah. So weed is great. We like to talk about it. And we can talk about it for like endless amounts of time. And we were talking about last week, I think it was, or a couple weeks ago, about something about like suicide and weed. Trigger warning, talking about suicide. But we were talking about the association between smoking a high THC weed and psychosis. Studies are happening. Things need to be found out. But one thing that we can say, I guess, a study has found, and this has been floating around the internet, is that legalization, so the relation of high THC weed and mental health, we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute, but like stuff like psychosis and mental breaks and stuff like that's whatever, that's different, and we're not doctors, but like what we can say, I guess, a little bit more safely is that the fact that it's legal itself has not led to increased mental illness or suicide.
No, in fact, it's quite the opposite. At least there's a small percentage right now that they've studied that found that the legalization of cannabis is associated with a 6.29% decrease.
Well, all right then.
In suicides.
Well, hey.
Among males of my age.
Oh, well, look at that. That makes sense.
So
great.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yes. And
there's actual studies.
There's actual studies now that like are coming from like Johns Hopkins and reputable. So while they're not like
peer reviewed,
they're still a little bit more legit than just like like social anecdotes. So there's studies that say now like that cannabis can reduce anxiety and depression. So what they did was they took people who just reported some form of anxiety and depression that came from different places, like social anxiety or even PMDD, like PMS related symptoms of anxiety, which is a real thing, stuff like that. So they took like people of all walks of anxiety and studied them, used a control group, people who wanted to maybe use weed but didn't know if they were gonna, and people who did already, and it turns out like it actually kind of helps. It actually helps depression, and it's associated with self-reported depression anyway. So that's good news.
That is good news. There was almost 400 people who participated, some who currently use medical cannabis and a few that did not or had considered using cannabis to help their depression and anxiety. And people that started using, they started using cannabis. They noticed that they were sleeping better. They were less stressed out.
Oh, look at that.
And
what do you know?
Yeah, exactly. They had a sort of a better quality of life. And those things lead to increased mood enhancement, the decrease in feelings of dread, and that would drive you to suicide.
Weed.
Sleep is
Yeah, it felt very dark last week, or when we were talking about it, because it was last week, right? Why did last week feel like it was like 4 years ago? But yeah, it felt dark because it was like, I don't know, and I don't want to say what happened to people who have lost people from suicide and stuff like that. I don't want to. I don't want to tell you that, when you lost your son to suicide, that it wasn't because of high dosages of THC. I don't want to say that. I do want to say that more often than not, cannabis, when used correctly, is more beneficial for anxiety than not. When people smoke weed and they have anxiety attacks, they're not smoking the right weed, and sometimes weed isn't for everybody.
This is true.
That's also a fact. May not be for you. Maybe CBD is, maybe it's friggin' not. You know what I mean? Like that's also true. I'm not, again, I keep saying that. Like, I'm not here to say weed is for everybody. It's a cure-all for everything always. Like, I'm not like Joe Biden, let me see more science about it, but I am like, I think we should, I don't think it would hurt to have
research.
Some science that says some things. I think like knowing stuff for science sakes is very important now more than ever. So that I think is important, but I don't like to say weed and mental breaks in the same sentence too much. So I do like this news. This news makes me feel good. And I can also say I can attest to that too. Weed helps my anxiety in so many ways.
Well, this John Hopkins study concluded that medical cannabis may reduce anxiety and depressive symptoms in clinically anxious and depressed populations.
Wonderful.
So,
Look at that.
I mean, what do you know?
Well, I mean, we knew that, it helped with PTSD. We've had veterans on the show speaking on that, and that has always been a topic of discussion because it's illegal, so it's like hard for the VA to provide
prescribe cannabis. Or even give anybody
or if you use it for it
or
to
even,
be
you can't
for you not to get your benefits taken away.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Which is fucking really horrible. So stuff like that, like if we know this and we do more studies like this, then we can find out maybe why in those like cases where it does happen, or where maybe there is a correlation between a high dosage of THC and something. I mean, there's stuff like, I always point to CHS, to cannabis hyperemesis syndrome. Like, we don't know what the fuck is going on. It's certainly for people. It's certainly not for people not wanting to smoke weed. So we just don't know what the fuck that comes from, but it's weed related. So, that's not the best. That's not the best to go through that. And we should know why, but it's also good to know why not. So this is good news, I think, to know. And I think it's good news to see that at the very least, making it recreational isn't going to cause reefer madness. Maybe studies like this will help people who don't want it in their towns to be like, it's better than friggin' opioids.
Maybe a family member suffers from depression and anxiety, and a little cannabis could help them.
And maybe they were going to be put on fucking very heavy medication, or maybe not. I'm not saying medication is wrong. Medication is right for a lot of people at the right time, but also weed should be considered in these things. Weed should be the thing that when you're prescribing medication, you talk about. Your doctor asks about, not in an accusatory way, but in a way of being like, how can I incorporate, you know what I mean? How can I incorporate this as medicine for you if it is appropriate?
When you're going through your options with your doctor, if you can say, I've got A, B, and C cannabis, that should be a topic of conversation that you can have with your doctor. And then maybe this doctor could be referred to a John Hopkins study.
Yes.
that you know, you can
If your
point to
doctor
these
is
studies
pro
with your
weed,
doctor.
which is more and more doctors are, and you should, again, this is something that I say all of the fucking time. You have to be honest with your doctor about how much weed you smoke, even if you think it's not important. Even if you think, I just smoke sometimes. It's actually kind of important because it affects many things because you're ingesting a substance. So no matter what, they're not going to arrest you and they're not going to tell your mom. They, you know what I mean? Like, don't be afraid to tell your doctor that you smoke weed, even if it's not adult use in your state yet, because they should know. And I would say, including, not limited to, your mental health doctors, your therapists, your psychiatrists, your shrinks. That's the first thing I told my therapist. First thing. And a lot of therapists now are also like substance abuse therapists. So it's not easy, trust me, to tell your therapist that you smoke weed and you do a whole show about it and you work in the industry. Because I had to make that clear. I do. This is how I feel it helps me. I'm not going to therapy in order to not smoke weed, right? To manage my weed intake. I'm going to therapy for better mental health. I would argue that if you don't know that about yourself, limit your intake. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I would argue that we should know more about weed, but that it is great that it won't kill you. You know, I don't know.
Cannabis will not kill you. And,
Or,
if you have access to your doctors, you can always point them in the direction. Maybe you might need to educate your doctor. I can email my doctor directly, and I can send them articles, whether they read them or not. But I'm going to continue to send my doctor articles about cannabis positive news.
A lot of people have to educate their doctors. That's fine. I think there's a lot of misinformation. That's why our show exists. That's why other shows exist. Yeah. That's why there's a plethora of information out there. We just tell it from people who work in the industry, and people that's another thing. Because we work in it, I think we take it for granted a little bit that some people just don't know that some people just don't know. So if if you are looking to try cannabis as a mental health aid, then we encourage it. And if you have a doctor, we more encourage you to talk to them first. But if you want to dip your toesy into weed with a person who you trust, you might have an okay experience. It might be better than trying a pill. A pill might be necessary as well. That's okay too. Try weed. The cool kids are doing it.
It's natural. It comes from Mother Earth.
It's not a one size fit all, but it's certainly not reefer madness. And
it's just a plant. It was put here to help us.
Hopefully, yeah. And what we've seen that in all cases, and it's sad when it becomes something else. It shouldn't. It really shouldn't. And more studies should be done. I promote that always. But also, how are we going to do studies when nobody can even get it out there to people, when people can't even smoke it because of laws and regulations and such?
Well, we're getting there. We'll get there eventually. Baby steps.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm glad that we are at a place where it's so much more socially acceptable. It's like tattoos. How we were talking about tattoos before.
It is way more socially acceptable. It's the most socially acceptable. Cannabis is the most socially acceptable it has ever been.
Yeah.
In modern times.
Yes, it is. So I mean, there's shows, full podcasts about it. But still a ways, and that's okay. But I would love for when you are going to your therapist. And again, like, dependence on anything is important. Like, yes, you can become too dependent on weed, I'm sure. But that's not for me to diagnose, I'm sure. But I do, like, I always wonder if, like, bud tending is going to become, like, being a pharmacist or something. I feel like there was, like, talks of that in New York, like, they were going to do that.
Well, they always wanted to sort of regulate us like blackjack dealers, but I think more on the medical side of maybe you need to be educated in sort of a more of a medical setting. I don't know. I feel maybe that's past because it's all recreational and they just want you to be salespeople.
Right.
To know the product and go. But people come in every day and want to talk to you about cannabis medically. So you need to be prepared for that as well and have all the knowledge, the medical knowledge that you possibly can. So you're probably right that they want, eventually you'll have to be regulated into where we are.
I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate like nurses, going to
more,
like a school.
More education and more classes.
Yeah.
Right now it's just voluntary.
I would enroll in that shit.
I'm down. I'll teach the class.
We could
teach. Sign up, enroll for the
Cool Nerd
Weed Show 101, Cannabis 101.
Yeah.
on our Patreon. It's an online class.
Yeah, we got you. And, we'll send out a syllabus with materials.
Including
necessary reading.
Including samples.
Yeah. Necessary smoking for the week. This is what you have to try.
I would love that class. Here's your homework.
Yeah, go smoke one hybrid.
Take this sativa dab and write me an
effects,
essay.
Yeah, write me an essay.
Say like 1,000
write me an
word
essay, not high, and then write me an essay high.
Submit both of them.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be the best class ever. The School of the Nerds.
The School Nerd Weed Show.
Nerds you. The School Nerd Weed Show. Day 1 of the School Nerd Weed Show. Party!
Today's class, bong hits.
The history.
The rudimentary smoking devices.
Man, I would pay to go to this school. Okay, we're going to take a break, formulate our entire curriculum of the School Nerd Weed Show, and we'll be back with the final
huff.
Sorry, I'm just thinking of the School Nerd Weed Show. You'll be back.
The final Huff and Puff with TS and Sasha.
Yeah. We're back with the final Huff and Puff. I was trying to think of more School Nerd Weed Show stuff. Well, it would be like we would have a whole part of the class that would be dedicated to like dispensary life. Because,
for sure.
That's
surviving in the dispensary world.
Yeah. So we would have like mock dispensary days where like we'd set up the classroom like a dispensary
and do some role play, dispensary role play.
Yeah. And then we'd have them like write out, what they would do and like their strategies and shit.
Oh yeah. What do you do? Someone tries to return that vape again and again.
What do you do when somebody has an expired ID?
Oh my God, so many things.
What do you do?
They throw all those things at somebody and within their test.
How are you gonna make it in the real world?
Real world.
The School Nerd Weed Show. We train you for real life. We're gonna get you
drill sergeants.
Yeah. It's not some liberal arts weed Oaksterdam shit. We're gonna fucking make you work.
Drop down and give me 5 bong rips, maggot.
Give me your war face.
Show me your war face.
Oh my God. Okay, well, we do have to talk about our final Huff and Puff. More on the School Nerd Weed Show probably in the future. So, New York. God damn it, New York. Okay, like New York, I feel like is just
dragging its ass.
And it's just like they're doing it on purpose right now. So the headline is no weed licenses until 2023, state cannabis board chair says. And I like the stock picture with like a jar, like mad jars of weed. So like you're ever going to see that anywhere. I guess, yeah. So it says.
Oh, totally with a California logo.
Yeah. Like, and those don't even exist out here. So yeah, dispensaries like won't even, they might not even be stocked by then either. But then they will at least be.
Well, they're saying that they won't even be issued licenses until the spring of 2023.
Wow. Yeah, that's like, and they might not even have weed though. In the like even by then.
Well, I mean, okay, so it's like the chicken and the egg.
Yeah.
Thing like if you don't get a license, when are you going to start growing? Like I'm sure there's a lot of grows in play right now. They're built and ready to go. Like just give them the word and they can put the babies in and get them going, the plants. But according to the law specified that April 1st, 2022 would be the earliest the state's recreational cannabis can begin. But the state controllers say not until 2023.
My dog is pissed. My dog is annoyed.
Yeah. They spend a lot of time on the East Coast, and this is not cool.
Well, no, this is horrible. This is horrible, and it sucks. It sucks on a lot of fronts because it will have been like 4 years by then that it'll be voted in to be recreational or what, or I don't know. Whatever happened in New York to make it recreational or adult use.
Governor Cuomo just said, go ahead.
Yeah,
and do
before,
it.
On his way out. But whatever it was, it made it happen. So it will have been quite a lot of time that has passed. And I guess like, they're cracking down on the gifting thing, like we talked about. I don't know. I don't know what's going on over there. I don't know why it's so. I kind of have a feeling that they're just one day going to be like, just kidding, everybody sell weed now,
and then
go.
1, 2, 3, go.
Yeah, and then that's just going to happen.
They're already having conventions and cannabis symposiums in New York, and this is what just happened. And the Tremaine Wright, the board chair, made the statement that licensing wasn't going to happen until 2023, and as you know, it was like a fart in an elevator. There were audible groans happening. I've been in that room when people from the government have told us that they want to do regulations in this way, and it's just like everyone's like,
yeah, no, it's
what?
It's a bummer.
It's a bummer.
I don't know how to make it not a bummer because that does suck. And
like you said earlier that doesn't mean that, if you can operate, if you get a license to operate, it doesn't mean that your dispensary will be fully stocked or stocked at all. Because if providers aren't allowed to start growing and providing cannabis, then how can you open a storefront without it? Without product to sell?
It's probably pretty rough.
Yeah, it's it's going to take at least
they're not making it easy.
Several months to get your first crop up and running before you can provide anything on any level in any retail situation.
Boo. That is certainly not good news for the state of New York per the usual. I hadn't really felt great about New York and weed. It was nice to be able to walk around and smoke weed. That was cool. But like other than that, it seems at every turn it's just been bummer after bummer. Well, get it together, New York, get it together, DC. You know what the fuck you're doing over there, and pre-rolls. Hope you come back into the world, and yay for mental health. Woo!
Yeah.
Go to adobe.com/news, by the way, for more stuff on mental health and If you write mental health music, you can get on the radio. And I had, I don't feel as cranky as I thought. I thought the show was going to make me cranky, but it didn't. I have a little bit of hope.
There's always hope.
Follow us on Twitter at Cool Nerd Weed and find us everywhere else. Cool Nerd Weed Show. We're out and about. We're all over the place. And
I'm just a Larson boy. I'm just a Larson boy.
Yeah.
Don't panic.
It's organic.
Yeah, we want to thank you so much for being a beautiful audience. Thank you very much. We'll be back real soon. Y'all take care and remember, unity forever, please.